Out of the few of these videos I've done, this one should be the shortest. This is a list that's probably going to grow in the upcoming book, The One's a Winner, with Sansa's whole story arc taking place in the Vale for the foreseeable future. The surname Stone is given to bastard children born in this kingdom, with at least one parent usually being of high birth. And we meet the most important one of the bunch very early into the story. The name Maya Stone is brought up in the first book when Ned Stark thinks back to the time he spent growing up in the Vale with his foster brother, Robert Baratheon. Around the age of 18, Robert would have his first child with an unknown common girl while living here. The baby girl was given the name Maya, but since she was born out of wedlock, she got the surname Stone instead of Baratheon, which would limit her privileges in life. He wasn't a complete deadbeat dad back then, like how he is with Joffrey, Tommen, and Myrcella. Robert would make daily visits to spend time with little Maya, though many must have seen the head of the very powerful House Baratheon making these visits. Even up until his death, Robert never acknowledged Maya as his bastard daughter. Soon after her birth, he would become the new king of the Seven Kingdoms, and it seems like at one point during his reign, he did have the intentions of bringing her to court in King's Landing, finally acknowledging her as his daughter. But his noble wife, Cersei, had some passive-aggressive arguments to make. Joffrey was already born at this point, and a quote-unquote half-sibling is something seen as a threat to true-born heirs. Do as you please, she told him, but you may find that the city is not a healthy place for a growing girl. Cersei believes bastards in a household are worthy of smothering while still in the cradle. Robert took this quote as a threat to his own daughter's life, which it definitely was knowing Cersei, and hit his wife. But her words worked at the end. Robert never brought the topic up again. So Maya would be stuck in the Vale, never knowing her father was actually the king. She does have some memories of the father that used to play with her, but for some reason, it seems like no one bothered to tell her the truth. Only a couple chapters after Ned reminisces about Robert's first child, her character appears in a Catelyn POV chapter for the first time. A teenager now at the start of the story, around the age of 18, Maya has been living her life as a mountain guide for travelers taking a dangerous trip through the mountains in the Vale up to the ruling castle, the Eyrie. She's considered a servant girl who also tends to some mules, far from the lavish lifestyle of a princess. But Maya is happy enough in life. She's a fearless character that has inherited some of her father's better traits. But last we see her, she leaves us readers with a deep quote. Men come and go, they lie or die or leave you. A mountain is not a man though, and a stone is a mountain's daughter. I trust my father, and I trust my mules. I won't fall. She says this while referencing the father who stood as tall as the sky and the man she once loved, all while speaking to Elaine Stone, another Stone character. Well, not really, because Elaine is just the alias given to Sansa by Littlefinger while she is hiding her true identity in the Vale. Since no one can know Littlefinger is harboring the wanted Sansa, her hair is dyed black, and she is to pretend to be the bastard daughter of Peter Baelish. When Peter asks Sansa what she should be called now, Sansa thinks going by Catelyn, her own mother's name, would be appropriate. Littlefinger brushes off this terrible idea and instead gives her his mother's name, Elaine. Sansa finds it pretty and goes along with it. He explains to Sansa that Varys has informers everywhere. If Sansa Stark should be seen in the Vale, the eunuch will know within a moon's turn, and that would create unfortunate complications. It is not safe to be a Stark just now, so we shall tell Lysa's people that you are my natural daughter. Natural? Sansa was aghast. You mean a bastard? Sansa was completely fine with playing pretend, but pretending to be a bastard was difficult for her. She would have chosen to be the true-born daughter of one of his knights, but bastards can go by unnoticed a lot more easily. Littlefinger quickly whipped up her whole fake backstory saying, Your mother was a gentlewoman of Braavos, daughter of a merchant prince. We met in Gulltown when I had charge of the port. She died giving you birth, and entrusted you to the faith. I have some devotional books you can look over, learn to quote from them. Nothing discourages unwanted questions as much as a flow of pious bleeding. In any case, at your flowering you decided you did not wish to be a septa and wrote to me. That was the first I knew of your existence. He fingered his beard. Do you think you can remember all that? The only one to identify her as Sansa would be her Aunt Lysa Tully, and that was only because Peter straight up told Lysa that Elaine is actually her niece. He likely did it to make things more peaceful while living under the same roof in the Eyrie. It was actually Lysa to come up with the whole hair dyeing, since Sansa's auburn hair gave her too much of the Tully look. Littlefinger was plotting to have his fake bastard daughter, Elaine, married off to a potentially important character. The next in line to inherit the title of Lord of the Eyrie, Sir Harold Harding, a distant relative to the late Jon Arryn. Harold isn't a bastard himself, but he is actively making some. He's pretty young, but all the female characters around him find him to be the most desirable mate in the entire kingdom. He has a 2-year-old named Alice Stone, named after her great-grandmother on the Arryn side of the family. Harold has another bastard on the way, with a different mother. The mother of this unborn child is the daughter of a very rich spice merchant who lives in the nearby port city. We'll see if this little character gets a name, though there's little chance she'll be relevant to the story, with it reaching its climax soon. The only Stone character in the story to have a nickname is Samwell Stone, aka Strong Sam Stone, because he's, strong? Not the most unique epithet, but Strong Sam is a fairly respected character in the Vale. He serves as the Master at Arms for the powerful family House Royce in their home Runestone. A person with this job is responsible for training everyone in the castle, whether they're just a guard or the Lord's children. They all go to the Master at Arms to learn how to fight. You usually get this prestigious position for being highly skilled with years of battlefield experience. Sam is an exceptional Master at Arms, and some of the lords in this kingdom hope he could turn the sickly Robin Arryn from this to this. There's this character, Humphrey Stone, and if it wasn't for the appendix in the Dance with Dragons, I honestly would never know this character existed. He's one of the sellswords fighting with the Golden Company, but who knows if he's truly a bastard with at least one noble parent. Sellswords just give themselves whatever name they want, with most of them living over at Essos. So a possible second fake Stone amongst this list. But the Golden Company is now in Westeros, playing a huge part in the Game of Thrones. Humphrey may be more memorable later on, when we get more than just a name mentioned. He is listed as a sergeant, but I have no idea how ranks work in this universe. I'm used to hearing captains being the ones in command within the Golden Company. But he must be a decent fighter to live long enough as a sellsword to be promoted. One of the brothers of the Night's Watch is a Stone. Tim Stone, a very, very minor character, being one of the surviving rangers in the current story that made it back from the Great Ranging, where we see many of the brothers lost beyond the wall. The last one on this list is Robert Stone. This is one of the stranger characters, if you can even call him that, because there's no confirmation that he ever truly existed. A sellsword in King's Landing named Osmond Kettleback rose to the position of a member of the Kingsguard thanks to Cersei's foolishness, but no one has ever heard of Osmond. When questioned about his feats that would qualify him to personally protect the royal family, he says a knight named Sir Robert Stone, who is now conveniently dead, knighted him on a battlefield he fought on as a sellsword. The battlefield, of course, taking place where few Westerosi knights would be present. So Robert Stone likely never existed and was made up by Osmond Kettleback to fake the rank and title of knight to give him access to better work and tourneys. Sir Duncan the Tall did the exact same thing in the short stories where he's the protagonist. Faking the knight status was vital for his employment, even though knights can raise any man to be knighted. A few witnesses is always appreciated, however. And that's it. 7 Stone characters, with 3 having a huge asterisk on their name. But like I said a few times now, we're probably in store for more. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see y'all later.